Okay. Were you able to see the Matias versus Puello fight?
Yes.
All right. Tell me, what's your thoughts?
I'm comfortable with Matias winning the fight. He faded a little bit, but he did a lot of work in the middle rounds that still count. People kind of confuse just don't score fights right. They score like 36-minute contest instead of round by round. Matias got a little tired in the 11th and 12th, but I felt like Puello kind of took off too many rounds early in the fight. So I'm comfortable with Matias winning the fight. It was a close fight, though.
Yeah, yeah. Tell me, obviously, Subriel Matias is normally like a late starter. I mean, do you feel like he caught them with the element of surprise in the second round?
No, I don't think he did. I think that won him the fight. I think it won him the fight though, but I don't think it was so much the element of surprise. Everybody knows he comes. Sometimes it take him a little bit longer to get cooking, but he almost paid for it at the end because he was dog tired. But the saying, it don't matter if you win the first 7 rounds or the last 7 rounds, as long as you win 7 rounds in a 12-round fight. So I don't have a problem with him winning the fight. I thought he did enough.
So, great in your behalf. Great game plan as far as starting that early is concerned.
Yeah, sometimes the pressure fighter takes a little bit too long to get started. So it's kind of, if your game plan is to wear the guy out, it's better to get started a little bit early. But sometimes Mills, your body don't warm up. Sometimes it just takes your body a little bit time to warm up. So people will say something about a guy that starts slow. Sometimes a guy can't help the fact that he starts slow. You know what I mean? He just can't help it. But they did a good job of getting him ready maybe in the dressing room, warming him up, making sure he was ready to go. And listen, Puello is a really, really good fighter, but he can't really complain because he didn't have some really close decisions that go his way. And then sometimes it don't be like that. Because I don't know if he beat Gary Russell, Antoine Russell. Matter of fact, I believe Antoine Russell probably edged that fight. And I also believe that the dude Parro, I don't know if he won those fights. So sometimes, when you're a guy that's get the benefit of the doubt of the swing rounds and really close split decision type of fights, can't really complain the day that it don't go your way because he hasn't been dominant in his big victories. They've been split decision wins. So this one didn't go his way. It's just like that.
Tell me, even leading up to the fight, a lot of people had Puello winning the fight. Saying that Puello's a better boxer than even Parro. Even Subriel Matias admitted that. What do you feel like made Why do you feel like what the difference is between Parro and Puello? Because I felt like the clinching and the way the referee separated the clinch instantly and telling Puello on and on and on, you can't do that. I felt like that was it gave a different pace to Matias versus the Parro fight. What would you have to say?
I agree. I agree with you 100%. That's a good assessment. I also think that Puello is a real good boxer, but he goes to the ropes constantly. He's constantly in retreat. You know what I'm saying? And judges sometimes they can't see all the little work that you're doing when you constantly in retreat. They kind of start looking at you when you're up against the ropes, thinking more damage is being done. Puello got that kind of style where nobody's ever going to blow him out, but he's probably never going to put together like a virtuoso performance like the Pernell Whitaker, Floyd Mayweather outboxing the guy for 12 rounds and the guy can't win a round type of performance either. He's one of those guys that just has he's an excellent elite fighter, but he's not a dominant fighter. There is a little bit of a difference. He's not a dominant fighter. So he'll have those close decisions that's just how he is. It's enough body of evidence to just kind of see that he's just one of those guys. And when you always backing up against the ropes, you don't really have a dominant jab, and he got sound fundamentals, but he's not like a super slickster where he's not making you miss a million punches. So he's always going. He could fight Matias tomorrow, be the same kind of fight, and then the judges give it to him. He's just one of them kind of fighters.
Now, talking about that assessment, do you feel like, say, for instance, a rematch with Parro with perhaps the same judge with that same style? Do you feel like it's a different fight?
Who knows, man? Power fought his ass off on that night. Who knows? You know what I mean? You never know, Mills. You never know how a guy wakes up. You never know how a camp is. When you dealing with guys that are so close in ability, it's so many small things that matter as far as who win or lose the fight. Who know? Maybe Parro have his number. You know what I mean? Sometimes a guy could be better than another guy, but that guy may have your number and the other guy may not. You know what I mean? Sometimes it just comes down to that little stuff. I don't really know. But Parro did do a real good job of kind of tying Matias up a little bit. You know what I mean? He did a good job of kind of like being physical with him, even though he was the boxer. So maybe he can't deal with that. I don't know. You know what I mean? It's a really close fight either way.
The reason why I asked is because they had Dalton Smith come into the ring right after, and that's going to be the fight that's next. They say that he possibly has a very similar style than Parro, but actually, might be a little bit even better than Parro. I mean, what do you think about Dalton Smith and Subriel Matias next?
I haven't seen enough of him.
Okay, okay. As far as Matias being a two-time champion at this division, what do you see? Obviously, the belts have kind of like maneuvered a lot in different hands now. What do you see in Super Matias versus guys like Richardson Hitchens? That was a possibility once upon a time. You have that Antoine Russell that a lot of people wanted to see. Matias and Antoine. Yeah, the people talking about also a rematch with Puello. Is it needed? Yeah, talk to me about some of these names that I just mentioned, and you can't forget Teofimo Lopez as well.
I think that they all should be ready to unify. You know what I mean? I do. I think that they should be ready to unify with the Turkey putting up the money or whoever's putting up the money. I don't know. I think that they should be ready to unify. Matias is getting a little bit older, so hopefully he can get a big fight.
Right. Right. People were talking about that. Like, why haven't we've seen Richardson Hitchens, when he gets approached about certain fights, he's actually just talking about the Devin Haney, even though Haney is fighting, Norman. And I know now you have some time to think about that fight. We could talk a little bit about it. But yeah, and then Teofimo Lopez wasn't present for the fights as well, couldn't get his thoughts. I mean, tell me where do you rank Super Matias now
I always thought Subriel
among those
Matias was.
guys?
I think he's right in the mix. He's one of them guys. He's right in the mix. If he's having his day, sometimes people like call that pressure style like kind of primitive. But bro, it's hard to deal with a dude that you can't hurt that won't stop throwing punches and he's on you all night. You know what I mean? You can make up for a lot of lack of skill with just being an animal like that. You know what I mean? There's a lot of guys that made a lot of money and other eras like that, like Rocky Marciano and Joe Frazier and Henry Armstrong and Sandy Sadler, where a guy just jump on you and he has skill, but his main thing is his endurance and his determination. And if you can't hurt a guy like that, man, that's hard to deal with. You know what I mean? That's very, very tough to deal with. And I think Richardson Hitchens can box his ass off, but it's a difference between keeping Matias off of you and keeping George Kambosos off you. So he would have to prove it. That's a hard night's work. You know what I mean? It's a big dude. He's tall. He don't stop punching. Those guys kind of fall off the cliff. When they start losing their peak because they style takes so much to get in shape. But when they having a hot nights, it's hard to deal with, bro. I had to deal with a guy like that in David Benavidez, but he actually got more skilled than a lot of those guys. It's almost like somebody putting a pillow over your face. That ain't nothing to deal. That's not nothing to play with. You know what I mean? He gonna be tough for anybody. You know what I mean? I just hope that they all unify. We got four young champions. Well, he's not that young, but we got four champions. It would be cool if somebody could put up some money and put together a unification. Like um two champions fight two champions, and then the winner fight the champion. Because you got them all in Matias, Russell, Lopez, and Hitchens. They should go and like just draw straws or have a ranking order and just see who fights.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I can't wait to see what the 140 division got up next, and to see that Dalton Smith, see if he's able to crack that code. If not, what do we get Matias? And what do you think about Matias just lining up with Turkey and stuff like that, knowing who he is and being labeled that boogeyman?
It's a good move. You know what I mean? It's a good move. That's a good move. He's what, 33, 34. He gotta get a big payday before he get out of here. You know what I mean? So it's a good move. I would like to see all those guys get to mix and match the styles.